Hey everyone, welcome back to the realm. I'm Gina.
I'm Rich.
I'm Rob. Come on.
Aren't you supposed to introduce the rest of us that are never here?
Amy,
No,
you're
you're supposed-
muted. You're muted.
Oh,
Amy's here.
yep.
I am here. Sorry. There was a bar across my thing I couldn't get rid of.
That's okay. I am not editing this out. This episode will not be edited, so we better do.
Yes.
It's all good.
All right, who else we got?
Kez.
Kez.
Box 3000.
Jesus.
I was waiting for the grand introduction. Nobody's going to do that for me.
Brian always goes last. Brian,
Well, I
always...
want a grand introduction.
Oh, okay.
You want like some wrestling music or something? Like
I want you
fireworks
to.
and
I want
stuff?
you to give my life accomplishments, and then I want you to introduce me.
Not happening. Moving on. Who else do we have?
Spirit Box 3000 and my spirit guide Jorge.
Nice. I was
Jorge.
hoping he would show up. Okay, guys. So guess what? This is the last episode of the season. So we got as many of us together as we could. Danny, I hear, is cooking dinner, so she is not making it.
Going
And
to be delicious.
and Jenny is watching her grandson's baseball game. Completely relevant reason or to not make it. I would like to say that my grandson is in the process of being born right now, so pretty excited. We're waiting to hear news, so I'm gonna keep looking at my phone, so if I get excited in the middle of this recording, we know why.
It's not you people.
It's not because of you people. It's because this tiny Harry. His name's Harrison, by the way. Anyway, so this is the last episode of the season, and we'll be taking the summer off, enjoying our summer, giving ourselves a break, chance to recharge, but also a chance to get caught up on some evidence review that we need to do, so we can bring those to you coming in October. So when we
Maybe you'll get a couple of surprises.
yeah,
over
we
the-
might
Never
might
know.
add little nuggets in there.
Yeah,
But we are
always
going
throwing
to
nuggets.
always throw nuggets.
Like the monkeys
Yeah,
in the
but they're usually
cage.
they're usually turd nuggets. So let's keep our fingers crossed on these.
Well, I think they'll be good ones. We'll have some good nuggets, but we'll be releasing some stuff with some evidence, and then when we get to October, we'll have our Scaretober, which you'll hear from us every single week because we will have a full episode every week. And on the off weeks, we will either be doing listener submitted stories or movie reviews of horror movies. So those went really well
Horror.
last year.
Horror movies.
Horror movies,
Horror movies,
not the other
horror
kind.
movies.
No, I'm out.
Right?
I totally misunderstood.
You're like, I thought this podcast was going to be fun.
I was real excited for Scaretober, and I'm like, ooh, horror movies. And then turns out they're horror.
Yes,
Right.
Two totally different
Horror.
things.
horror. I have to speak better, I guess. Okay, so tonight's episode. Well, first of all, Amy, thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's been a while since we've seen you, so I was really excited that you could join us. I was really looking forward to having as many of us on as possible on this one because of the topic that we're going to discuss. So the topic du jour right now, and we're going to expand upon it over the next two seasons. We have season 6 and season 7 kind of already loosely built, and we'll be expanding upon this topic during those seasons. But we are going to talk about life after death. Now, it's a huge subject, so we're not going to solve this all tonight, right? But I thought that we could talk about kind of, I mean, because we're in the business of either proving or disproving the existence of spirits, entities, metaphysical things going on, right? Like that's what we do. We're not scientists, but that doesn't mean that we're not capable of being responsible, educated, and doing things in a manner where we can try to collect a lot of things We have lots of brilliant minds on our team from many different backgrounds that have done many different things. And so we just, yep, that big brain of yours, Rob. And we come to the table with all of these things to try to answer this age-old question, right? So, but people have been trying to answer this for a really long time. We go way, way, way back. I mean, even in the 60s, there was a study done. There was a doctor that worked at a mental hospital that ended up leaving his practice to go study parapsychology. It was kind of when this was born. So the conversation of, is there anything when we die, a pretty hot topic. I mean, we can take religion out of it. I mean, we know certain religions dictate the way the certain things happen in the afterlife, like what they believe is the afterlife, right? We have atheists, agnostics, we have, people
the
that
main
believe
ones,
in,
Christian.
yeah, Christian. We have people that believe in heaven and hell, and we have people that believe in purgatory, and we have people that believe in multitude of different things. There's even people that believe that if you make it to a certain point in your spiritual evolution, that you don't, like, your spirit doesn't just go there, but like your entire body can be taken to the heavens and the sky. So I mean, we're talking, there's just so much. Okay. So we can't solve that all tonight. But what I do want to hear from everybody is, what do you think happens when we die? And do you think the manner by which, as investigators, so we're going to do this from an investigator's perspective. So you'll have your personal opinion and then your investigator perspective, is, do you think with the equipment that we have been able to come up with things that we can't explain that could potentially prove that there is something beyond this physical world? So I kind of wanted to go round robin. And so I'm just going to randomly choose. Yep, I'm randomly choosing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
But you put the wheel. Use the wheel.
Oh, I could use the wheel. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yes,
Okay.
the
No,
wheel
we
of
should
destiny.
The
we should
wheel.
go with the most opinionated person first.
But wait a minute, who is that really, honestly?
Think
Sure,
of
Fox.
Ryan
Sure,
and
Fox.
Rob.
No, just
Hang on a second. I'm gonna get a
wait,
set up.
me?
It's either Brian or Rob.
We are pretty opinionated, I think.
We need a launching pad. We need someone to
No, Wheel of
give us the
Destiny.
ocean so we can pick it apart.
Okay.
Wait, whoa.
All right. So I have everybody's name on this wheel.
I didn't
So
realize me and Rob are a tag team now.
That's
We're gonna-
right.
we're gonna have this. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna share my screen.
Sounds like
And
a
we're
new
gonna
shirt. Tag team.
We're
The
gonna.
big-
Name is our
If it
vote.
lands, I'm just gonna say this up front. If it lands on me, I'm not gonna go first.
What?
So we're gonna have to
What?
do it again.
Dude, no.
Because I'm hosting this one and I can make the rules. Damn it.
Can you make that wheel actually
Whoa.
spin?
Oh.
Okay. All right. Let's just see what happens.
Oh, okay, that wasn't the spin yet.
Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Let's see. It's spinning,
We
spinning,
don't know who this is
spinning.
gonna be.
Oh,
Right on.
Brian is first.
Like right on his name. That
I
one's like,
know.
what, it knows exactly what it wants.
Exactly. So, all right, Brian, let's hear it.
I think it clearly wants a bunch of disappointment because I'm not gonna I don't think Kaz I don't think Kaz is you're not gonna get what you want. My personal belief is that there has to be something after this that makes the most sense, and at the very least, being a human being, it makes me feel better. And I think that's probably what a lot of the stuff comes down to. But I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's something else. We don't know everything about everything. We know physics the way that we know it because that's where the point that we're at in 2024. 100 years from now or 150 years from now or 500 years from now, things may be different because you learn more, you evolve and you get more knowledge. You're never smarter as a society than you are right now. This is going to be the peak of where you are. So I think that we don't know that there's not something afterlife, but I feel like there could be, and maybe we just don't know it yet. Now, from an investigative point of view, I think that there has been really interesting stuff that you've seen on, Ghost Hunters or stuff like that. And there's or on Josh Gates, the one I forget where that was, Rich, that on that
That was in Michigan at
Uh,
some hospital, but man, that
yeah,
place was awesome.
yeah, that place, you get a lot of things going on at once. You get um thermal hits, you get camera shadows, you get the spirit box going off, and then they also had the proximity sensor all going off at the same time. It was very impressive. If it's on Destination X on the newest season, if anybody wants to look it up.
Okay.
Rich,
It was good.
Is
Rich
that
and
what
I
it's called
both,
now? Destination X?
No, it's
yeah,
just a spinoff.
yeah. Um, and Rich and I were just talking about it at Blackhawks game. I was like, "Oh, I was watching Destination X," and he's like, "Get the hell out of here!" Was it the episode in that hospital? Because we both had seen kind of the same thing, and we're saying how when you can get a lot of evidence in real time going off at the same time, something is going on, and that's where it goes back to there could be something after death and we just don't know it yet because you get from the investigative side, you get things like that where you go, something is going on there. If we haven't been able to figure out what that is, maybe it's connected to life after death, maybe it's not. But I feel like there are a lot of impressive things evidence wise that people have found that it's really hard to pick apart and scrutinize, even being as skeptical as I am and wanting to do that. You got to call a spade sometimes when you see something and you can't figure it out. So I feel like there has been good evidence to suggest that there could be something else going on. We just don't know what it is, but maybe it could be, there's something more after we die.
Okay, so having said that, what is a piece of evidence since you've been on the team and doing investigations? What is, or maybe just something else that happened in your life? Has there been one thing that has stood out that has kind of been like, I can't explain this shit, so I'm leaning towards there's got to be something.
Well, the great magnet that we talk about all the time that
Yes.
Adam Carolla coined many decades ago, but the great magnet is one of those things where sometimes you get too many things in a row that aren't a coincidence. Um, just last night, Rich, when we're talking about the Titanic stuff, we got home and I forget what came on. There was like an ad on TV or something or an episode of something we were watching, and they started talking about the Titanic. And it's like, that's very weird because we don't often, like, those things don't happen. And that's not even a good one. I think we have a running list going on one of our phones
Right.
of really good, great magnets where you can't explain the coincidence of things. So there has to be something more. So that happens a lot where it's like, oh shit, either we're in a simulation and now the simulation is glitching and it's throwing too many similar things together, which is a whole different topic altogether, or there's other energy going on that we just don't understand. Maybe there is something to that, like, the old great magnet standby is always you start thinking about somebody you haven't talked to in years, and then your phone rings and it's that person, and you go, well, that's a hell of a coincidence, or is it just that length of time you both were thinking the same thing, that I haven't talked to this person, or oh, I owed them a phone call and I never called them back and we lost touch. Like, could it be something as simple as that? Yes, but also that shit's weird when that happens.
Yeah.
um so that's just one of those little things that whenever that pops up, I go, there's probably something more than what we think we know. But it's, as far as evidence goes, I mean, I've had just one really good personal experience since we've been doing our investigations at the Oshkosh Grand that Rich kind of had the similar thing. Like that was a go back and listen to our old podcast, everybody, the old episode for Oshkosh Grand, and you can hear all about that. But that was a situation where it was real minor, but it was also something that I've never felt before when you get that electrical charge and then somebody else kind of validates that same thing without having told them. They get the same experience, like they walk through a wall. Like that kind of stuff was really cool because then it never happened again. There was never another time that whole night that there was anything. So what was that? Like I would love to know what that was. Doesn't mean it was a ghost or anything, but it gets filed into that personal experience that once you have one, I think it's a lot easier to start accepting other things that may seem a little bit more far-fetched when you're looking
Pardon
at
me.
stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Because I'm excited to get everybody's opinion on this so that, we can tie it in a nice bow at the end. Okay, let's see who's next.
Kez.
Oh, you called it. It is Kez.
Wow, that's weird.
There
we go.
That's the kind of shit we're talking about.
There we go. All right, let me stop
Manifested
sharing my
that.
screen. All right. Kez, same thing for you.
I think that everything that I believe about life after death is contradictory. Um, everything. I think a lot of things to be true that can't simply be true at the same exact time. And I think that's the fun of it. And then especially as investigators, when we go out and we do these things, if something happens or if nothing happens, but particularly if we get some evidence or something, a personal experience happens, then it just fuels whatever, whichever one of the contradicting beliefs, that I have at the time. And I'm like, oh, it's this. And then something will happen a couple months down the road and be like, oh no, it's for sure this. Um, for example, sometimes I'm like, agree, we live in a simulation. There's no way that we don't, right? Like, there's
Yep.
just no way that we don't. There's a lot of weird things that happen, and you're like, yep, it's definitely glitching. Um, it's hard to explain a lot of things. Mm, it it just feels computerized, right? Somebody's up there pulling the strings, and it ain't God. It is something else that's just kind of having fun with us, whether that's aliens or we all have headsets on somewhere and we don't even realize we're in a simulation right now. We elected to be in this simulation, but our memories of it is a race that we went under in the first place. So sometimes I have that going on. And then, when we die, quote unquote, we just take them headsets off and it's like, oh, 10 minutes has gone by or an hour has gone by or something crazy like that.
It's like the Rick and Morty episode with at the arcade with the video game where you play in the life of somebody, but you're so attached to it that you're playing the game for an hour and you've gone through a lifetime as just an ordinary person, and then Rick has to pull Morty out. But that's exactly like that's a great illustration of what you're saying because I totally get that.
Right, right. So then, yeah, so, could be something like that, right? Um, could be, I don't know, my thing with especially why I'm interested in investigating is like, okay, I believe ghosts are real. I believe spirits are real. Um, but I don't know why certain ones stick around, or if they are sticking around, or if it's just like a huge imprint that was made. But then if it's just an imprint of energy that was made, then how do you get the intelligent hauntings that we sometimes get, right? So now we're talking about intelligent hauntings, and you got to go, okay, so I'm interacting with this other spiritual being. Why is it here? Is it stuck? Is that even possible? I don't think we have to really walk around and be like, you're released, you can go now. Even though that's a lot of times what we do as like a ritual, right? But are you really stuck? Or are you choosing to hang out here? Is just part of your being hanging out here? That's, split from the rest of your consciousness, and the rest of you got reincarnated. See what I mean? Like I got all these conflicting things. So then it goes like, okay, do we just immediately get reincarnated? There's no middle ground. You're just you die and you're literally coming out of somebody else at that point, and you're being reborn into somebody else. Do you get like a waiting period in between where you get to kind of choose like, do I go back or do I stay out here in, whatever form of heaven this is? And if we do get to go back and we get to make that choice, why do we do that?
Right? Because it sucks.
It sucks so much. When it started becoming sunny out and your seasonal depression is just depression.
Right.
But yeah, I'm in a constant state of existential crisis because I don't know what goes on after this. And so it's kind of one of those like, hooray, nothing matters. So do what you want. And then it's also like, nothing matters. So what am I going to do with myself? Yeah. So I don't know. My whole point is I don't know. Everything that I believe is contradictory. There's another one. You die and we're all just slivers of reality squished up against each other, and you just move over to another reality. And ghosts,
Yeah.
what if ghosts, or what we perceive are ghosts, and we're catching them on our equipment and things of that, are other ghost hunters investigating us? And so we're the ghosts to them and they're the ghosts to us, and we're all freaking out because we're interacting with each other. We're just on two different planes, right?
Right.
So
I get that. That's why
That's
we're
good.
besties. I've thought about
that's why
that.
we're besties.
I've thought about that a lot.
The lights are flicking on and off. Somebody's screwing with their wife. They're being annoying, and you're like, "Oh my god, the lights are going on and off. It's a ghost."
Okay, so is there a piece of evidence then during your years of investigation? Because you've been investigating for almost 10 years now. So is there a particular piece of evidence that has kind of like swayed you more that there is something more after here, or maybe supports some of your other theories?
I think that it's really cool, our EVPs, especially when they're class A's and they're very clear and loud and nobody else heard it. Those are always wild. Visual evidence is my favorite, and it's probably the least popular to get. But one particular incident that I remember was at Farrar, the first time that we went. I can't remember if it was Farrar, but there was a stage and we were
Yeah.
sitting there on the stage. The whole team was sitting there, and I heard somebody whisper in my ear, and I go, "Oh my God, did you guys hear that?" And nobody else heard it. I'm like, "I'm telling you, I got a whisper." And we played the recording back, and sure as shit, there was something that said something, and I was like, "Holy crap, like I heard that with my ear. Nobody was talking." And then we actually caught it too. So it wasn't just a feeling I had, or wasn't just the heebie-jeebies. It wasn't, whatever, my own hallucination because it's dark and I'm scared. So that was really cool. And it proves nothing about any of my theories.
But if I remember correctly though, if I remember correctly, around that same time or just before or after, it's been quite a few years since we did this, but we got an SLX figure sitting on your lap and around that time. Do you remember
know
that?
that there was-
Everybody was on the stage. I
I
don't know if you
don't
guys.
necessarily remember that, but
I remember, I don't know if it was your lap or somebody, but there was like a figure that came up.
I
feels like a
remember
Rob
that.
lap thing.
I feel like it was sitting next to Amy, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Amy? I couldn't remember who it was. I don't know. Maybe they were close to each other, but either way, we had a lot happen at Farrar in that space in a very short period of time, because we're not big fan of orbs either, but we got a ball of light moving through there that we cannot, like, the movement was just, there's no
That's
explanation.
still my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
That orb.
I know. Oh my
What
gosh.
is it? I can't tell you. I don't know what it is.
Because the way it moved and it came through the wall and then it just kind of floated around and actually came directly towards the camera as if like, hey, what is that? It was I don't know. That was pretty phenomenal. So I'm sorry, Kez, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do you have anything else before I move on to the next person?
No, I'm gonna go have another existential crisis. Thank you.
Okay, let's see who goes next. Wheel of
Rich.
Destiny. Oh, you're calling Rich? Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be Rich.
Oh. Holy crap, I think you're right. Oh my gosh, Brian, are you?
Oh, that's him.
Boy, that could have been.
Okay.
That is a
Oh no,
Smurf
wait.
hair.
It moved to Amy.
Yeah, I did. It said Amy.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
It said
literally-
Amy, but it was for sure still on the Rich side.
It was
don't know.
still on Rich.
Rich. It was 100% on Rich.
Yeah,
That's what I said. So I think
Doesn't
that
matter
was
to
a
me.
glitch. But I
Oh, the
think
glitch
that's
in the-
good because we were just talking about the orb, and I feel like that's fresh on your mind. So then you can,
No,
obviously.
that was a glitch in the Matrix because they didn't want
What?
another weird coincidence to happen.
Yeah.
So
Right.
like, it's not gonna be Rich. It's gonna be
Oh yeah, they're like, no, change the program real quick. We can't have two
You're
rights
on.
in a row.
It can be
Right.
whatever makes me look smartest.
We'll be here a while.
Oh wow, we got jokes tonight. All right, Amy,
We got
you're up.
jokes.
Okay. I feel like the Matrix thing is a really interesting idea. But whoever is like in charge of mine, they're probably like, God, this is so boring. Like I can't even imagine, you know what I mean? They're just
Like whoever's playing your Sims characters, like
right. They're like, oh, they're always just watching TV and I'm in the background, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really I don't have an opinion of where we go too much because I want it to be something, but I deep down don't feel like it's going to be anything, right? Like I don't believe in heaven or hell really. And honestly, I feel like if anything is hell, it's like kind of what we're dealing out right now.
Yep.
And I just feel like I don't want to say that our test is to get through this part of it as graceful as we can, you know what I mean? Gracefully as we can. And by helping out as many people as we can and just being a good person. But I mean, deep down, I feel like not that it would change anything that I ever do or did or whatever, but I just feel like there isn't anything after this. Deep down, I kind of just feel like we just become dirt. We're part of the earth, just like nature. You know what I mean? We're just going to be part of the earth. And it is, I mean, at least it's a purpose, but it's kind of a depressing purpose. You know what I mean? Where our soul or where our entity goes, I have no idea. Does it go anywhere? I have no idea. You know what I mean? I want it to go somewhere, but just the thought of like, you know, the people that we loved just kind of evaporating into nothing and now they're just nothing. That's a weird thought, you know? Yeah. So I want it to be somewhere else, or I want it to be like, you know, not that I am a revenge person, but like all them people that are terrible people should get their comeuppance, I feel like, but I also believe that we're already the hell part. You know what I mean? We're already in the hell part.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's kind of, you know, it's kind of contradicting everything too, because like I said, I feel like this is like the test to do as many good things as you can, or at least just to be a good person. And, you know, but where does it really get us? I guess nowhere.
So would you say then like a ghost is not necessarily a person who's passed on, but just like another part of this world that's just existing?
Yeah, I mean, well, remember, I'm a skeptic, so I don't know.
She still doesn't believe in ghosts. We've been doing this long enough.
Right. I think because I just can't explain it. I just, you know, there's things I can't explain. I want there to be something else. And I like the idea of not necessarily reincarnation, because wouldn't that suck? Start another whole life all over again without knowing anything. That's horrible. To me, that's a horrible idea. But I get a lot of deja vu, and I get a lot of like weird, like I'm drawn towards certain things that maybe, you know, maybe that was in a past life and that's why I like it still, or, you know, I just really don't know. That would be cool. But at the same time, once again, just the thought of like, having to do it over. Can't we just not do that again? Can't we go to this magical place at the end? Well, I've done my 5 lives. Like, this is it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. But like I said, I think deep down, I truly just think we're just going to be dirt. So it's
So I
depressing.
guess what leads you to be interested in investigating the paranormal again then? And I guess like maybe if there's some type of evidence or some kind of experience that you've had during your years of investigation that make you question that maybe we don't.
Well, I'm always questioning it because truly I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe it would make me feel better if I had more concrete answers. You know what I mean? Not that I feel terrible about it. I don't feel terrible about, oh, I'm going to heaven after this, or oh, I'm going to be dirt after this. I don't really have, I don't know. I'm never going to know, right? So,
Not going to be
but
your
I think it
problem.
would be cool if you had a little bit more of an idea. It would be neat to like, oh, I guess maybe it's more this than this or whatever. I don't know.
So is that your interest in like being involved in paranormal investigations and in this world to like just test the waters and just kind of see if there's anything that comes up?
Maybe that's part of it. I mean, you know, I think it's interesting.
Mhm.
And I definitely love history and I definitely love snooping around old buildings, right? But I mean, I guess if we could find out information that we didn't know before, right? We're always learning something new anyway, even if it is a more history of a place. But I'm not closed-minded enough to think that I know the answers to any of it. You know what I mean? There's so many things out there that I don't think we'll ever know in our lifetime, where later they're gonna be like, yeah, that whole time it's been the Matrix, man. You know, I just don't pretend to like, no, it's not. We're just gonna be dirt. That's not me either.
Right.
You know, I don't want to argue it because I don't know. But
Right.
is that what I think? Probably. I mean, I'm probably.
Is there any evidence that has kind of like that you've experienced over the last, 10 years or so of investigating that has been one way or another kind of like,
Well,
I mean, you're
nothing
always
that,
questioning, but is there anything
right.
in particular?
There isn't anything that's made it real solid for me. Definitely nothing with investigation, but it does make me question it more because, like, how do you explain that weird orb, or how do you
Right.
explain? You know what I mean? I don't think it's an alien or a monster from another thing, although it could be. I guess I don't know. I don't even know that, but I just think that I'm not above saying that there are so many things out there that I don't understand, that I'm like, okay, well, it could be this, but it could be that. And I'm cool with either one of it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's nothing that we've done so far that has changed my mind about anything solid.
I get that.
It's proven I still don't know anything. That's what it's proven. You know, it's proven I don't know.
Well, that's okay.
I'm
I
okay with
mean,
that.
we
She's
don't
just a
really.
spooky chick that likes to skulk around in the dark, and this is the
Yeah, I love it. I love bats.
way to do it.
So, yeah.
I have a question for Amy,
Yeah.
because you and Danny are very similar when it comes to investigating and being as skeptical as you are. Like, she has kind of that same thing. If there's a scary dark corner that's supposed to be haunted, she has no problem sitting there because she doesn't think that there's anything there to be scared of. But she would also say that she could find a piece of evidence that could change that for her, but she can't really describe what it would have to be. You know what I mean? Because it would be different for everybody. But she knows that there is something that if she eventually got a piece of evidence that was good enough for her, it could change her mind. Could that be the same thing for you? Like, could you find a piece of evidence that would change your mind?
Yeah, I think so, most definitely, but I don't know what that evidence would be.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know how solid I would have to have that evidence be to make me really do it, because I
Right.
have seen some things that I can't explain, or even like that situation, the sleep situation, that
Right.
was pretty scary. And, you know, did I calm down? I went home, I did some research on some things, and then it swayed me back to the like, no, it was probably just a nightmare, or it was a sleep terror or whatever. Like, but at that moment, it was pretty real. I had changed my mind pretty quickly at that point. and then changed it back once I was able to calm down. So I'm not really sure what it would have to be to make me truly a believer. I don't know. I don't know what would have to. I would know it if I saw it, I guess.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing, is it's hard to describe, but you do have something that, like you said, there could be something, but it
Oh,
would
absolutely.
have to be
Absolutely.
something special for you.
Yes.
You know, wouldn't just
Yes.
be somebody else presenting an EVP and you listening to it. You would have
Right.
it would
have to be like it would have to be very personal
Right.
to me, I think, to change my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see who's gonna go next. It's gonna
Rob.
be Rob.
Rob.
Oh,
Oh, Rich. Okay.
All right. Now it's on my name for sure.
Now, yes.
who's gonna go next?
Oh, I wonder.
Wouldn't that be funny if it wasn't you, Rob? Somehow
That would
it's
be.
the-
I'd be like,
I just stopped on the line between both of the Robs. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would
That'd be funny.
it'll be really funny if it actually happens now.
Yeah, no kidding. All right.
Well, Rich, okay, what about you?
On a personal level, no, I think there's nothing after you pass. I think your energy goes somewhere and that's it. However, after doing what we do and having some of this evidence that we've had, I think has swayed me more to say there's got to be something, but I don't know what. Because I mean, I think all those options that everybody's talked about, the reincarnation and the we're living in the simulation and all that stuff. Those are all good things that I think I'd be fine with, but I don't know. And I guess maybe it's just like the paranormal field that we're doing. There's not enough information or not enough knowledge on it. You could go either way with a lot of the things that we do or a lot of things we find. So, I mean, you could say yes or no. And usually the people that say yes have a reason why. And same thing with the people that say no have a reason no. You probably like how I started out by saying, I think personally, I would have said no because we never had any interaction to think otherwise. I mean, yeah, you get, the scared heebie-jeebies or whatever. You like to go in these places, or when we were kids, we did things to try to get scared. But I don't know that it was anybody thinking that there was anything paranormal or ghosts or anything like that. It was just, it was a rush of, adrenaline, and it was fun to do. But now all of a sudden you get all the paranormal shows coming out, you get all the people interested in it. You still have the aspect of it's a television show, it's entertainment. So take what you see on TV and what they tell you with a grain of salt. That's over such a long period of time of that hour show that you're seeing, that when you start doing this like we do, where we don't get paid money, we don't do any of that stuff, you're not at a location for that long, you're only there maybe overnight or a weekend, you're not going to get that same stuff. And I think different people are going to interpret that differently of how what the paranormal field is and how to investigate it and what the evidence is. So, I mean, I've never seen an apparition. I've never seen a ghost. But I've heard different things, and I have seen different things that it's got to be something. What that is it just like we talk about the residual haunts and stuff like that? Is that the same thing with what we're calling intelligent haunts, and it's just energy playing back, and it's something like that maybe. But then you can sway the other way, and you hear everybody else's stories, or you see the other pictures, you talk to other teams, and sometimes you can tell by how they bring their evidence, as opposed to other teams that bring you evidence, or you guys talk of, the orb thing is a big thing with us. A lot of people don't understand the orb thing. You know, a lot of dust and bugs and things like that. So, and that's the same type of thing I'm talking about. One person's going to interpret that differently than another person. So I think the overall picture of life after death, I mean, everybody's going to have varying opinions, I think, but until you come in contact with something to make you change your mind or go one way or the other, just like Amy was talking about, she'll know it. She doesn't know what that thing is going to be that's going to sway her to say, yeah, now I believe that. I think it's the same. You don't know what it's going to be until it does. I mean, I think everybody hopes for the best outcome. You know, we don't, like Amy said, we don't want to be keep reincarnating over and over again. Boy, yeah, I mean, no thanks. One time's enough. I think I've been through enough punishment. So
Damn, they're a depressing group.
Well,
Nobody wants to do life again.
just, I don't know.
so Rich, is there a piece of evidence or some kind of experience that you've had, like, you know, one that you could name over the past, 13 years or so, 14 years that you've been doing this, that kind of leads you to believe one way or the other, or it's something that really impressed you?
The easy answer would be EVPs.
Okay.
I don't know that there's any one that stands out more than the other, but when you get that, you know that when you're getting EVPs and you're doing those sessions like that, you know what your surroundings are. So when you're listening to something that you know for a fact wasn't there,
Yeah.
and it's there, and especially if it's a direct response to something that you're asking, that kind of makes it interesting. I wish we knew what is an EVP? You know, where is it coming from? I wish we knew
Right.
that, you know, because
Right.
it would just make things so much easier. Maybe that's the point. It's not supposed to be easy, but
Right.
you know, the EVP thing is big. You know, I've had experiences with some of the SLS stuff, but I'm skeptical on that, how that works. And maybe me being skeptical comes from the fact that I haven't really been exposed to it enough. Once we get one or whatever, you know, when we get some of those tools that kind of what you kind of question in the background, I think if after you use them, maybe we'll understand it a little better and know whether the things we're seeing or things we thought we saw from past experiences, what they were, if they were something that was natural to the environment, you know.
Right.
But yeah, the EVPs are big. I mean, we've had some video, but you know, it's sporadic. But we're pretty picky as a group, I think. So when we
Yeah.
find things, our stuff is usually pretty. I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we go through it and we beat the hell out of it with evidence
do.
review between all of us, and I think we feel pretty comfortable when we put something out that it's something that's not known. Not, you know, we never say, you know, this is proof of whatever, but I mean, it's, you know, it's there and it's something that we don't know about.
Right.
And
This
we've
is
had a
what we
lot of
have
that.
and we can't explain it.
And we've had a lot of that stuff. So, I mean, those are things that they got to be something, but none of us, I don't think any of us here can tell us what they are, but we all know it, that it's weird, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we do what we do, because we're trying to find out exactly what it is, you know, what is that shadow figure? What does that EVP mean? Or what does, you know, the spirit box stuff? I mean, those are all things that are interesting and we all talk about. It'd be cool to dive into them and really use them enough to pick it apart more, you know,
Yeah.
and be more confident with the findings or what we think we have, you know. So
Yeah.
Some of our best, what we thought were our best EVPs, took 150 listens before
oh
we
yeah,
realized that it was one of us that did it, and we didn't realize it. Yeah, exactly.
but we
Mostly it's
did.
Rob's fault. He can't freaking speak up.
But the thing is we
I
did
did
that,
speak
you
up.
know.
Rule
I
number one of
did
investigation.
speak up. It
How many-
says it right after it.
How many other
Rule number
teams, you
one
know,
of
do
investigation,
that,
no whispering.
you know,
Right. I mean, that's a good point, Rich. I mean,
know?
hopefully there's other teams that take that. I mean,
you know,
we could literally take a 34-second cut of audio and spend 8 hours or more on it between all of our ears, you
Because we
know,
want to
like
make sure that
just
it's
to make sure what it
we're
is.
what it is or what it isn't. And
Yeah.
you know, and I just can't help but think sometimes that there's groups out there that don't go that in depth. And if they didn't get, like, I would never put something out there if us as a group said, if 5 out of 8 people said something, I still wouldn't put it out till all 8
Right.
of us came to an agreement
Yes.
of what it is, because you have to be sure. And I'm just wondering how many groups just, they find stuff like that and they just don't go that depth, and they go, well, you know what? There was 10 of us there, but it wasn't us 5. It's got to be some, you know, you gotta, in that case, you'd have to throw anything out, because if you don't know, you can't,
Right.
you know, say it is something. And we've come across that with
That
stuff.
makes me think about at the Oshkosh Grand with our easier to call Gina EVP that turned out to be Rob talking to Siri saying,
that was
"Hey
perfect.
Siri, call Gina."
Yep.
Yeah.
It does. No, stop. See, then my phone listens and actually does it. But 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 with that particular EVP, it was driving us crazy because it didn't sound like any of us. And until we got the video that was perfect for us to be able to ascertain what actually happened, it makes you wonder that if there's other groups who didn't have the video coverage but had that EVP, would put that out as evidence, because you're listening to the audio and we're talking about calling the boss, and then you hear a whisper in the background say, "Easier to call Gina."
Right.
Yeah.
It's an amazing clip. So
Yeah.
it makes you wonder sometimes if, like, if we didn't have video to go with that, we wouldn't put that out.
You're
You
right.
know, it just would have been an EVP, because we would have said it had to be one of us, and if we can't rule it out with the video, then you know what I mean? It's unusable at that point.
Right.
But what we should do, you know, when you were talking about Rich said something about the afterlife, and it made me think of Ghost, the movie, in that uh Goldberg or Demi Moore didn't believe it until Whoopi Goldberg says ditto, because that's what Sam would always say. So that was something real personal for her. So what we all need to do is always have something that people will definitely know it's us. Like if you guys get an EVP and it's me and it says Stephen King's a hack, you're going to know that that's probably actually
Always
me.
picking on Stephen King.
You know what I mean? But everybody
Leave him
needs to have
alone.
something so that people can definitely go, "Oh yeah, that was them." You know, like you have to have something. So when there is an EVP, you know, it's easy to figure out for sure who it was. None of this bullshit with spirit boxes where you ask Toby Keith very non-specific question. I'm getting mad again about that. I should get upset about the spirit box thing, but that one's still silly because I was really hoping he was going to ask a specific question so we could know definitely it was Toby Keith, but that question never came. But that's a whole nother story. But everybody, come up with the catchphrase. Pretend you're on Friday nights, TGIF on Fridays in the 90s, and have a catchphrase.
We'll figure out something so that whoever goes first will investigate it.
Have
Rob.
mercy, like Uncle Jesse. You got to have something, you know. What you're talking about, Willis. Come up with something so people know that's your thing.
Oh, I know what Rich's is going to be. Balls. Big balls.
Big balls.
Big balls.
All right, Rob, what about you?
So personally, I think it's complicated, right? Because on the one hand, personally, I think it's lights out. That's it. I mean, I love science, right? Tangible, undisputable facts, right? Chemistry, biology, mathematics, astronomy, right? Things that we can prove and tangible stuff. And we just don't have any of that for what happens when we die. So I just think it just lights out. That's it. Would I like to think that there's more? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think it was really it's really like depressing when you like hear your significant other talk about how life is just hell and they wouldn't want to live it over again. I'm over here like,
Oh no.
oh, what is that all about, right?
Oh god.
And
Oh.
so, I mean, I'm atheist, right? I'm an atheist, and I just don't believe that there's anything's going to happen. So, on the other hand, is like, well, Rob, you're a ghost hunter. I mean, I grew up a monster kid. I've been watching horror movies as far back as I can remember with my mom. I grew up watching them. I still watch them. I read into the myths and the legends and the lore about all that stuff, and I've always loved monsters over any kind of slasher and paranormal movies. And even as a kid, I still have this book from when I was a kid in my nightstand called Haunted Houses. Um, and I still like to read some of the chapters in that book. And I love the ghost stories. So, what, how can you hunt ghosts or believe in ghosts and be an atheist? So, whatever happens when you die, I guess, on the one hand, if you're a religious person, right, according to most mainstream religions, is no deity would leave you hanging, right? So Christianity does not believe in ghosts. They believe they are demons or evil spirits. Even if you like Hinduism with reincarnation, you just go into something else, right? So everything's like a demon or an evil spirit, no matter what it tells you. Even if it repeats your catchphrase, it's not really you, it's a demon. That's the theory, right? So, I mean, if I were to die and I mean, I believe it's just gonna be lights out, but say there's some deity there greeting me and like, "Hey, listen, you were wrong your whole life." Well, I think I've lived, you know, I've had some unsavory lifestyles in the past, but I mean, I'm not, as far as those big genocide crimes and stuff, that, I mean, I would be in a position that I would be in some kind of danger, right?
Right.
Like you're going to hell or you're going to get reincarnated as a goldfish or something, right? It's, I think that I've done, for the most part, okay, that I've cleaned up the wreckage and whatnot. So, um, what does happen? I don't believe in this whole Matrix thing. I don't really believe any of that. I know that Thomas Edison wasn't a spiritual person and he still built a machine to communicate with the dead. So, you got that big energy field and you have the frequencies and whatever. Do you go back into this big energy field? Um, the brain is like an organic, right? Like chip, right? You can't really see what's going on over time. We've learned that this part of the brain does this and this, and there's electrical current, but as there's no like screens for memories to see it. There's no actual mechanisms that are functioning to do any of this. So we know that's where the intelligence lives. Does it escape and go back up into this big energy field? Does some of it remain? And that's how we get the repetitive hauntings. How does it just remain? How does it just hang there and communicate with us from beyond? There was when I was 10, I was it's dumb, right? But I fell out of a tree onto a bunch of broken up concrete from a driveway that was dumped, and I was knocked out. I had to sew part of my ear on. I broke my arm. I had a black eye. I had to spend like a week in a hospital or something. And what saved my life was the glasses because the blow was on my temporal lobe. And quite often I think, well, maybe I'm dead and I'm in the afterlife. I don't know if this is a purgatory, if it's a test, or I mean, I would just assume if it was heaven or heavenish, I would be a millionaire, right? Or something like that. But that's not how it is. So as far as yeah, like ghost hunting. What are we doing? What are we communicating with? We had talked before about, are we communicating with aliens? I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't know if aliens would say some of the things that we catch in EVPs, and most apparitions, whether they're real or not, that we see photographs of, look like gray men or whatnot. I have often thought about, as we talk about interdimensional and all these different realms all together, and there's millions and billions of them, maybe our equipment does communicate into another dimension, and that dimension or realm is communicating back with us, like Kez had mentioned. I think about that because maybe that's really best for our what our equipment is best for. Because if there is a spiritual realm and a spiritual world, I mean, is something that scans radio waves sufficient to connect into that dimension, that realm? I don't know. I don't know what it is. So there's this part of me that wants to believe, right? I want to believe. I'm a skeptic and I want to believe. I want something crazy to happen when we're out there and we're investigating. I want to see it. I want something, that holy shit moment, that's going to make me either, holy shit, there's a ghost, and rethink my whole thoughts on the afterlife. Maybe that's what I'm seeking. I mean, there's part of this, I'm here because it's interesting, it's fun, we're a great group, but I've always been into this whole horror thing my whole life. And now I get this opportunity to do this. Maybe part of me is searching for an answer. It's 6 of one, half dozen the other in my head, because I'm almost positive that it's just it. It's like unplugging a TV and that's it, right? There's nothing else. But then now it goes into evidence. Has there been any evidence, right? I heard that voice in the convent with my own ears, and then we picked it up on the recorder. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. There was just a handful of us, and it sounds like a little kid giggling. Everybody got to hear it. I heard it. Brian heard it. So I don't know. It was a weird situation to be in. The orb that we talk about, man, you can look at that from so many different angles. And if it was an insect, it would be flying very erratically. It's so slow, that whole clip feels like it's 2 minutes long.
Right.
There's no way an insect is going to fly like that. And it's not like a dust orb. It's a white light. And it does fly right up to the camera, and it hovers there, and then it goes over it, and it comes through a whole auditorium. It's really an amazing piece. I don't know what it is. So if I get to that stuff that I can't explain, because that is my job, to debunk all these noises and creaks. I wish it was that we just walked into haunted places and we set up our ghost trap and caught the ghost and put it in our little museum in our room, in our house somewhere, and got to display it. But it's not that easy. Any houses that we've ever done, like private locations that I've been on, as we've debunked everything. The locations we go to that are like the known haunted locations that we spent the weekend. I don't know how long those TV shows stay in those places, but we have like 2 nights, right, to get it. And I'm under the impression they're there for like a week or whatnot. And we do go through all this evidence and we debunk it. And a lot of it is just this person or that person or this noise or, outside lights or something. But there's those pieces of evidence that I cannot explain. Yeah.
Well, buckle up because I have a lot of thoughts. I am a huge mixture of all of this. For myself, I obviously I want to believe that there's something else because I've had too many experiences that tell me like that there has to be, because like how else would XYZ happen, and we'll get into that. But you know, it's really difficult because I don't, so because I don't want to get into a whole religion thing. I mean, we mentioned religion, but just to kind of give a little bit of context of why I believe the way I believe is that um I don't believe necessarily that we're here to be tested. I don't believe that somebody had to like die for my sins in order for me to like live a life of forgiveness, because it doesn't make sense to me that somebody would have to sacrifice their child so that an entire like population of people could like move forward and be able to get to heaven. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Right, yeah, so I don't want to like, I just want to like preface with what it is, but I do believe that there's something more. I do believe that there's something after this. And I even believe in reincarnation. And so I'll touch on that for a second. So why do I believe in reincarnation? Is because I wonder why there are some people that are born with certain gifts, certain talents that are just innate, like they just have it. Like for instance, you know, like the child prodigy playing the piano, or you know, like people just uh, for instance, me, I literally, I mean, not so much the newer cars, but I can do stuff on a car. I have no idea how I know, but there's lots of stuff that I can do to fix my car. I'm very mechanically inclined, never been shown. Just from the time of a very young age as a teenager, I literally stopped on the side of the road to help somebody that broke down. And somehow I knew I needed to take the top off of, you know, how like the old carburetor, you can just like unscrew where the air filter is. And then you got the flap, and I just like, oh, it just, the engine needs to breathe. I have no idea how I knew that. I was 15, 16 years old. I'm helping this woman like on the side of the road. Like, how would I know that? I didn't, I wasn't taught that. My dad died when I was 8. My brothers didn't take interest in that kind of stuff, nor interest, you know, like, you know, we spent a lot of time together, but it wasn't like those were the things we were teaching each other, right? So you know, how do we explain that there are people that are much more brilliant in one thing than the other person, and some people just seem so much more wise than other people, and some people seem so much more evolved than other people, and that's what makes me question and makes me think like there has, like, maybe we've done this a few times, right? And do I think the reason is because I don't know why the hell we do it. I mean, I do believe that reincarnation is potential. I think it's possible and plausible. I just don't know the why. I don't know what the end game is. I don't know why would have to keep doing it, or why we would choose to keep doing it. I don't know if it has something to do with like a religious type of thing, you know, with a deity. I have no idea. I do believe in the presence of a higher power, in the sense that, you know, you can call it universe, you can call it spirit, great spirit, you know, mother God, father God, you know, whatever you want to call it. I do believe that there's something bigger than us that connects us all, like in the universe. I think I've mentioned this before. Like one of my favorite quotes is I an atom in the universe, or I a universe of atoms and but an atom in the universe. And because we are all energy, we're all made of the same thing. I mean, the God particle was discovered, and like that's like a common thread through everything, from the table that, you know, our things are sitting on to everything that's around us. And we're made of energy. And if we weren't made of energy, if we weren't energetic beings, then explain to me how MRIs would work if we're not energy. Pacemakers wouldn't work if we weren't energy. Transcutaneous like stimulators wouldn't work if we weren't energetic beings. EKGs, ultrasounds, none of that stuff. EEGs, if we were not energetic beings, these devices that passively measure or are utilized or used to treat certain conditions, then they're not going to work. So that's why I believe that we're at least energetic beings and that we're all connected in that way. And I think that's how sometimes we're able to like feel other people's moods, somebody's mood, even if they're not displaying any type of behavior, they're not acting a certain way, but you know how like sometimes you say, man, their energy or like their vibe or they're ruining my vibe, and they're not even doing anything. It's almost like you could just feel it pouring off of them. I think we've all experienced that. But like how and why? And how is it that we feel like we know certain people, like that we've known them our whole lives, but we've just met them? Those connections that we have with people. And I mean, there's just, again, I don't want to go on the whole religion thing. There's just so much. Not to mention some of the evidence, that we've received, most notably like the EVPs that we talk about. I mean, what's that? I mean, Kez and I are in West Virginia in a TNT bunker in the middle of a field, and we're inside of this TNT bunker where our voices are echoing, but in our voice recorder is a voice that's not echoing, that is a man, and there's nobody else in this TNT bunker but us. And it's, saying eat shit or I need a drink of water. I mean, these are things that like, how do we explain these things if there isn't something there? Amy, I agree with you. I just had this conversation with somebody last week or 2 weeks ago. We were talking about like heaven, hell, that kind of thing. And I said, well, I don't believe there is a hell. I think we're living it. I think this is hell. I think we all experience hell. And I mean, if there is a hell. And I think that not because my life with you, babe, is is hell, and not because everything I've experienced in my life is hell, but because of all the other things that go on around us, all the things that are happening in the world, whether it's in our life, other people's lives, all the tragedies we see, that's hell. That's hell to experience, right? That's hell to know that it's going on. And so that's what I think hell is. And what I think heaven is, or the afterlife, is just on the other side of this physical plane. Like right now, I mean, Kez and I just talked about the fact that we're having a human experience. And maybe the point is for us to have this human experience, and that the thing we're supposed to do is, like you said, Amy, like live a good life, be moral. You brought this up, Rob, too. Like be good, be kind to other people. And I think the whole point is like helping other people have a good human experience. And that's why it's always baffling to me that we have people that are so contrary to that ideology. Like, why wouldn't we all just want the same thing for everybody? And why wouldn't we all just want to have a good human experience, all of us? I mean, this whole power comes into play and everything else. I don't want to get sidetracked on that, but the other point of that is that since I can ever remember, well, first of all, I have memories from a time in childhood that I shouldn't have memories. I have memories from when I was a baby, still in a playpen, that I could describe the room to my mom. I knew what my playpen looked like. I talked about a specific date that something happened, and there should have been no way that I would have a memory of that. Like, what is that all about? What are the experiences? We've all been on investigations together. We've talked about it in other episodes. There's certain things that happen with me that I'll bring up, that I'll say, or I'll feel, or I'll experience. And I bring that information out because when we go on investigations, I usually don't know anything about where we're going, what we're doing. How does that information, I mean, is that information just because it's just imprinted because it happened, and because we're energy, it just imprinted like a tape player and I'm just picking it up? Or maybe because we're such energetic beings, like if so and so's relative comes through to pass a message, or loved one, or like, am I just like reading energy off of people and like hearing something replayed in their head that happened between them and that person that was in their life that is now past, and I'm like hearing that and replaying it? Like, I don't know. I can't explain any of it. I certainly don't walk around pretending to know it all. I don't capitalize on anything that I experience. In fact, I do these investigations so that I can feel sane, because then it helps validate some of the things that happened to me, and that I experienced. So having that, and it just, like, there has to be something, because there's too many things that, like, why would we be experiencing some of those things, and then what would be the point? I've recently, in the last year and a half, gone through some pretty significant death anxiety, is kind of what it's called, where like mine is, I'm afraid of dying. There's a couple kinds of death anxieties. The other death anxiety is that there's nothing after this, and that people kind of stress about that. They just, like, the thought of that is just so much that it makes them anxious. For me, it's the thought of leaving behind my family, because I feel so attached to the people in my life, and in this world. And I don't want to imagine ever like not being with them, or them not having me. And so that makes me very, very sad. And that's brought me a lot of anxiety. Um, but we've just had so many things happen, and people talk about coincidences, and I don't think they're coincidences. Like you said, Brian, the great magnet, like, I really believe that there's just something more. And I think it all boils down to the fact that we're energetic beings. We're atoms. We're part of the universe. The universe is in us. We're in the universe. We're all kind of made of the same thing, and we're all interconnected. And I think somehow we're a big collective, but I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know what the end game is. And though I don't want to die, I also think about, like, my God, like, what would it be like to just always exist forever? So, like, is reincarnation our kind of vacation from the eternity? Like, I mean, maybe we're like, hey, let's take a break. Let's go, like, have
Well,
some fun, in a human form. Like, that's something that I've thought about.
no.
And
Like we're
I,
spiritual beings just having a human experience.
exactly,
We
like, we're
got
going on
bored because we're eternal beings, and so we're
yeah,
like, "Oh, let's go do some shit. Let's go fuck some shit up."
yeah, let's like
That's wild. Holy crap.
let's go grab some bodies and have an experience. Like, I think about that sometimes
Oh,
too. I
whoa! I don't
know.
think you can say that.
That's why I said buckle up. Like, this this goes deep. So I just have so many thoughts on it, just because I've had so many things happen. And for me, we've had a lot of evidence happen. The biggest evidence to me, or the things that to me tell me there's something more, is just the personal experiences I have, that then you guys are able to validate after the fact, when we like meet up and meet in the middle when things happen. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. But also just the connection that I feel to everything. Um, I'm literally the proverbial tree hugger. If my kids used to pull leaves off of trees, I'd make them say sorry because I literally believe everything has like feelings maybe. And I know that sounds a little woo woo, but
How you feel when I go to the Smash Room?
I'm unashamed. I have not been to the Smash Room, and I actually don't even feel the need to go to the Smash Room. Some people like to like do that. I don't feel like I need to get anger and aggression out like that.
It was okay
Smash
that I
rooms are like,
those things.
huh?
Should I apologize to the things I'm smashing?
Uh, well, no. I mean, you don't have
Well, what's the
to.
difference between a tree and a cup?
Well, because a tree actually has veins that go into the earth, absorbs water and nutrients to live and to grow. Whereas a cup is like a solid matter. There's nothing, it's not relying on anything to live.
What if somebody's experience is to come back as a table?
I don't think that's possible. I think a table is just a perception that we're having in our human experience. It's a table because we say it's a table, and an airplane flies because we say it can fly. I mean, obviously, there's reasons why it can fly. They can tell us scientifically why it flies, but I mean, you know, I just I think that we manifest things in our human experience that they just are because we say they are, and um and I just, you know, are we going to prove it as paranormal investigators? I don't know, because we're the only, not we like this group, but like paranormal investigators are people that are in that world, or the only ones who like consistently passionately do it. There are a lot of studies. There are parapsychology units at universities to this day. There's people that are funded by grants and private you know, private people who donate millions and millions of dollars to this kind of research, but it ends up being more or less like where they aren't really trying to answer the question of the afterlife. They more or less kind of do surveys of like who believes, who doesn't. There are some things that are done on near-death experience, which we are going to be talking about next season, in season 6 in December. We're going to be talking about NDEs, near-death experiences. We have somebody that's going to come on and talk to us about their near-death experience. And we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit further to talk about these instances. We're also going to be talking about reincarnation in depth, because there's a couple of things, especially some documentaries that are out with these kids that remember their past lives. I mean, you know, spoiler alert, but I mean, there's the one documentary has this kid that literally told his parents like where his house was, in what city, what it looked like inside, what the family's name was, how many people were in that family. They ended up getting funding to be able to like fly to this location. The house was exactly where the kid said it was. The house was laid out exactly the way he said it was. And the events surrounding his death and the family were all exactly what he said it was. So how does he, between 3 and 5 years old, know this? Right? My son Nicholas, who when he was younger hadn't watched any war movies, hadn't learned anything. He was probably 4. He would tell me that he used to ride in an airplane in a bubble and shoot a gun. Never had never had said. He said he was in the war, and that the reason he did is because he was the shortest one, and he was able to go in this bubble in the bottom of an airplane. Now, at that point, had he seen Star Wars? Maybe. So I think about that, but he specifically said airplane. And there was other things that he would talk about. And then up until the age of 5 or 6, and then after 6, 7 years old, he forgot all about it. And if I bring it up, he doesn't remember it. So I don't know. I mean, I believe that there is something else. And I think that the work that we do is important in the sense that, if anything, it can kind of help us, I guess. Well, first of all, it's cool, right? It's cool. It's fun. But number one, we've been able to bring people some peace to debunk things, right? So people that thought things were going on, we actually found electrical problems and high EMFs and other things, you know, within the structure of their building, how it was built. We were able to debunk pretty much everything at their house.
Dust
There's
and
been,
traumatic episodes and
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
like dust and
Right.
attic episodes with the dust and
Right. Allergic reactions and you know, things that like medication people even take, watching too much TV, and you know, thinking every bump in the night. So we are able to do good with what we do, and there are people that make fun of the things that we do, and there are people that make fun of parapsychologists, and they're, you know, and that's fine. It's okay. Like, I don't take that personally. Um I just But I do think what we do is important. I Who knows, maybe it'll evolve over time, that'll actually, be a profession in the future, because we're starting to get things that, nobody else had got before, or been able to explain. Maybe we'll get that like one piece of evidence, not us. Like you said, Rich, I think maybe it could be, much further into the future. But yeah, I have lots of thoughts on it, but I do believe, just because of how connected I feel to the energy around me and to other people, and when I'm around people who I can vibe with, just that feeling of joy and connection, and just a sense of peace that I have when I'm in the right space and with the right people, and doing the right thing. I don't know. That's what makes me think that this isn't all for naught. I just don't know why, if that makes sense. So any opinions on anything that I had to say?
Go watch The Good Place.
Oh, that's right. Talk about that.
Yeah, what's that?
Go watch
The
The
Good
Good Place. It's a comedy on Netflix. And
A
it is,
movie,
I
a
think
movie or a series?
it's a series.
It's a series, okay.
Amy, have you seen it, Amy?
Yeah, my son and I were watching it together.
I love
It was
it.
cute. It's cute. I never finished it, but it is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta finish it. And the reason why I say that is because Jana's talking about how, what if we are in an afterlife and it's this eternal heaven-like place, and we get freaking bored, so we're like, screw it, let's go create a place called Earth and have some fun, because we're tired of existing so happily forever. And kind of the concept that they, in The Good Place, to try not to spoil the whole thing, is they fight so hard to get out of this purgatory and to not go to hell. They fight so hard to get into the good place. They finally get into the good place, and everybody's miserable because they've got all their needs fulfilled. And there's no challenge, there's no strife. And it's just like, so none of these things that they get to experience brings them joy anymore, because it's like there's no absence of the joy. So if you constantly get what you want, then you're not having any fun. And it's just, all right, I'm just miserably living because I get everything I want.
Yeah.
And then they make it to where people get an out. Like, okay, how about this? You still get to live, you get to be human, or you get to, live your heaven-like experience. But when you're ready to go, you just have to walk through this door, and you evaporate into nothing. So having that option, so these people who have been in heaven for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, who are now miserable because they're like, wow, like I got everything I wanted, and it's just like eternal living forever. Now they have this option to just evaporate into nothing. And so they start experiencing heaven in a happy way again. They're enjoying all the things that they can do, because they're like, oh, I know now that there's an escape. So what if it's like kind of the reverse, right? Where we are just eternally living forever and ever and ever, and we're like, damn, I'm sick of this.
I'm
Let's
going
go
on
do something.
vacation.
Let's go do something screwed up. Let's go ruin our sense of security. Go do some tumultuous things and have some traumas, so that we can come back and
And
enjoy
appreciate
the
what we
heaven-like
have.
experience that we're having.
Well, and just to quickly touch back on to reincarnation, another reason I believe in reincarnation is because I can't believe that if there, like, and when I say if there is something, I'm doing that so that we can be like unbiased when we're presenting this information. But if we go back from the beginning of time, of when humans existed, or beings existed, till now, that's a whole hell of a lot of souls. Like, why would there be that many souls in existence? Like, that doesn't, like, I can't fathom that either, which is why I think there's like a certain amount of souls, and we just keep like recycling. Anyway, Brian,
The population keeps growing. So where are those
right.
new souls coming from?
Right.
Oh, that's a good point. But we aren't accounting for like
Other universes.
other universes. Yep. We're not accounting for animals. We're not accounting for cavemen. We're not accounting for, prehistoric Neanderthal type people,
Why not?
because that's not accounted in the population, because we truly don't know what the population was then. So we can't assume that there's a bunch of new spirits because we don't know what the population of that was, right?
I doubt it was anything close to this.
I doubt it, but having said that, um,
How embarrassing if we're just an aliens freaking science project.
I know, right?
Well,
Brian,
another
We think
theory,
shit
right?
matters, and it sure as shit doesn't.
They're like, isn't that cute? They're so cute.
they're so cute. Look at them talking about this. Brian, the question was, you stepped away from a moment. Just we can go around if anybody has any opinions after they've heard what I had to say. Like, is there any closing thoughts that you wanted to bring in?
I don't know if you guys were hitting on the alien thing too much because you just said it again, but I had to look up and double check. Our good friend Bob Lazar had something that I had just seen pop up, but it was from some of his original interviews that he saw documents or something when he was working at his top secret area S4 or whatever it was called, that he saw documents talking about the extraterrestrials viewed us as containers. And that's all that it said. And he left it real ambiguous when they're
Oh,
like,
wow.
what do you mean? And he's like, it just says containers, or like for souls. And he's like, I don't know. It just said containers. That's all I could, But even though I don't really believe Bob Lazar anymore, go back and listen to that episode too. That was a fun one. But that's an interesting thought that, there you talk about people go, there's a higher power or a god, and we look up to the sky. Well, what if it is aliens and we are the little projects, or there's, the little soul that's inside of us, that energy is something that the aliens are, manipulating or doing. I mean, the pyramids got there. We know that was aliens. So I
Well,
think
that
our,
goes,
no,
that
We
doesn't that go
know.
back into like the Anunnaki and just believing that that's the whole missing link, right? The Anunnaki came and
I've never
spliced our
tried on
DNA with Neanderthals, right? The petri dish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, maybe it is aliens and that's what everything is, but I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
And I knew.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Anybody else has any comments after some of the things I spewed?
I just hope there's something, because otherwise, like I said, how embarrassing.
Well, we don't have anything to
Why
be
is that
embarrassed about because
embarrassing?
we won't know.
Well, I guess, but it's just like we're just out here just freaking doing the dang thing, and how embarrassing if you don't follow your dreams, or how embarrassing if you do something idiotic, or how embarrassing if you believe in something that's not true. Do you know what I mean?
I guess maybe not even embarrassing. I mean, like, what a waste of time if you aren't following your dreams,
The
if
time
this
is
is
also a
Well, how
concept.
we all get up and work 40 hours a week, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that's what
We
I'm
didn't
saying,
even have
though.
the opportunity to
embarrassing.
follow our dreams because we worked for peanuts. So
That's
we're
what I'm
just
saying, though.
slaves.
How just yeah.
I ran through a screen door. That was embarrassing.
I've seen
But
a
also
dog
really
do that
fun, too.
once.
I wish I had video of that.
I wish there was video of that too.
I have it in my head because I saw it plain as day, but
Yeah, no, I wish that
Can't
I
share
could see what you guys saw though, because everybody had a different view, and I bet it looked really awesome though. Danny says it looked awesome.
yeah.
busting through a screen
Yeah.
door.
Yeah. Imagine
Screen
what the screen door was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we didn't solve anything. I didn't anticipate us to solve anything, but what I would really like to know is I would love for our listeners to either comment on this video, send us a message at connectedrealm@gmail.com, link up to us on our Facebook, Instagram, send us some comments on this. We'd love to know what you think. What you think, like what happens afterwards, what's life after death. I mean, we're leaving religion out of it. I know I mentioned a little bit about religion, but I wanted to give some context as to why I had some of the thoughts that I had, so that we won't have this turn into a religious debate. We just really just want to hear, like, what do you think happens when we're when we're done here. So I appreciate you guys bringing all of your opinions to the table and having this discussion and discussing like how it associates to paranormal investigation. I think what we do is important, even if some people laugh at it. In the very least, it's fun and it's cool.
I think the one thing that we figured out is that we are a very skeptical team when it comes to investigations and our thoughts on things, that we're all firmly on the skeptical side, which I kind of like because I think it gives more weight to stuff when we go through evidence. Like none of us would jump at throwing something out there.
Yeah, it's the more realistic view, but you know, if somebody wants to throw us like a 20, 50, $100 million
Yeah.
sponsorship, man, I'll think everything's a ghost. That's fine.
Yeah.
We will investigate every corner of the earth.
That's a ghost.
Yeah, forget what we said earlier about Rob talking to his phone to call Gina. We'll put that.
That was a ghost.
That was a ghost.
Yeah.
Or a demon.
And like I can't even get started on that because Kez had mentioned like, you know, spirits getting stuck. Like, I don't even know if that's a thing. Like, I don't know that people get stuck here because like I said, I just think the afterlife is on the other side of this physical world that we see. You know, they talk about the veil. So I just think like we just change, like we're changed form. Like we just get rid of this body, but we're still energy and still experiencing. So I don't know, are there demons, are there not? We actually have somebody that's going to come talk to us next season about demons and demonology and evil spirits. They were actually on a paranormal TV show and brought in as an expert opinion on it, and they've written some books, so we'll be having them on our show next season. So we have lots of exciting things for you guys next season. Again, this is the last show for this season, so it's a little bit longer. We just wanted to talk about something a little meaningful, get some thoughts going, because we do have several episodes next season when we start in the fall that are going to kind of build off of this episode. So it was a great season 5, everybody. I think we had a lot of fun. I think we did a lot of great episodes, and we're going to take our break for a couple months, get some evidence done that we have still sitting there that we need to do. And then we will be back in October for our Scaretober, where you will hear from us every week. So we will have full-length episodes on all the scary, crazy stuff that you would expect out of October. And then we'll have ghost stories or horror movie reviews in the middle of the week. So you'll get 2 episodes per week from us during the month of October in honor of Scaretober, which is most of our favorite time of the year, I think, on this team. One last thing I wanted to plug. If you are in Southeast Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, within driving distance, or hell, just want to take a road trip, there will be a paranormal conference that we are helping put together. And it is called Bell City Paracon. That's BELLE City Paracon, PARACON. You can find that on Facebook. Our website should be up and going soon, but first go to our Facebook page. I'll give you some details. We'll be having vendors there. We'll have speakers. It's going to be like $10 to get in the door. And you're going to have 6 speakers to be able to see. We'll be running our podcast the entire time live. And so we'll be talking to people that'll be going to the conferences. If you're there, you want to share your story, we're going to bring you on camera and let you share your story. So that we're really excited about this opportunity. And there'll be great vendors there. And then we will be having an investigation at this location. It'll be 1300 Sheridan Road. The Danish Brotherhood has bought that building, and so we will be taking some donations for them too as they rebuild, as they lost their building, I think, in the fires in Kenosha. So they bought this new building in. It used to be an event hall, but this building was also a restaurant and has some mob ties to it and a little bit of history to it that could could yield some investigation, some evidence potentially. So there will be an investigation later that night. Those tickets are limited. We are only selling 24 tickets for that investigation. So keep an eye on it for when it comes out, because when they're gone, they are gone. And grab your tickets. You can grab your early bird tickets to the conference. It'll be a couple more dollars at the door, but if you buy ahead of time, you get a little discount. So with that, you guys, thank you. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for a really great season 5. Everybody did a good job.
And
And
are you patting yourself on the back?
Hell
saw
yes,
Brian
I'm patting
doing it.
myself on the back.
I saw Brian doing it.
everybody giving themselves a pat.
Huh.
All right, well, everybody take good care of yourself. Thanks for hanging with us. We look forward to bringing you some more stuff here in a couple months. Take care. Enjoy your summer. We love y'all. And peace.
Peace out.
Ciao.
Well,
Big ball.